Welcome back to the Big Kahuna podcast. This is episode number 4. But before we get into it, I would like to ask if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to like and subscribe to this channel. This will help us a lot as we start growing our community. If you were to go to the website of Jim Collins, researcher and author of Good to Great, you would find a lot of good data and recommendations for growing a great business. One of the concepts he fleshes out is first who, then what. Or, as he puts it, get the right people on the bus. The idea is those who build great organizations make sure they have the right people on the bus and the right people in the key seats before they try to figure out where to drive the bus. It's really about hiring great people who will sync with the goals and philosophies of the organization. They always think first about who and then about what. When facing chaos and uncertainty, and because it's impossible to always predict what you might be facing, your best strategy is to have a busload, or in this case, a company full of people who can adapt to and perform exceptionally no matter what hits you next. Having great vision without great people is almost irrelevant. As a small business owner, I always had big dreams, but not the best management skills. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the difference between visionaries and operators later on in this podcast. Also, because I didn't have a lot of funding for growth, I often opted to hire people who were not necessarily the best fit for our company because I didn't think I could afford to pay for the people who would be a better fit. Now, it's true, better qualified people are going to cost more. But what I didn't realize was that there are other motivators besides money that people consider when taking a job. Some of the big motivators include having a shared vision, an enjoyable workspace, like-minded coworkers, and contributing to a mission or cause that they believe in. So, let me suggest that organizations that want to attract the right employees and build great teams should invest the time and effort to develop 3 essential statements or declarations that answer employees' critical questions and investors' questions and even customers' questions. The first of these declarations or statements is the vision statement. The vision statement answers the question, where are we going? And as Lewis Carroll wrote, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. A vision statement should be a short, inspirational declaration about what you hope the world will look like due to your company's existence. It should grab the emotions and motivate a response. We will focus our conversation today on the critical topic of developing a vision statement. But the second essential declaration or document is the mission or purpose statement. The purpose statement answers the question, what are we doing now and why does it matter? With a mission or a purpose statement, you want to identify your customer's problem, explain your plan to help them with it, and describe a successful ending to their story. Don Miller talks a lot about that in the story brand concepts. The purpose statement needs to be emotional. The decisions are made from the emotions. And we're going to look at this in depth in our next podcast. The third of the important or essential statements or declarations is the core values. The core values, They answer the question, how do you do it? The core values or corporate values, this is what we talked about in our last podcast. But as a reminder, they are clearly stated principles. They describe the types of behavior, morality, and beliefs to be found in your organization. They'll help shape employees' workplace mentality. They provide a guide to employees' interactions with each other and, importantly, with our customers. They'll help to hold business leaders accountable. They'll help the business grow with purpose and vision. And although they may be common to many, in reality, they are a unique set of values to your business. Like the other declarations, core values should invoke an emotional response. Again, we're speaking to the emotions of the individual. Since company core values should be easy to remember, clear, meaningful, and actionable, it's a good idea to choose 5 to 10 ideas that best represent your business ethos. You know what? Some companies even find success by adopting only 3 strong corporate core values that stand out and say it all. In fact, that's what we've done at WebGeeks, and I'll share that in a little bit. So, within these 3 documents is the power to attract, motivate, and direct a talented workforce to move in a common direction and achieve great things. At the beginning of this podcast, we rolled a number of emotionally charged motivational speeches that had impacted history. Can you imagine an undertaking such as the American Revolution, where 13 small independent colonies needed to come together in a shared vision and purpose and oppose what was at the time the most powerful war machine up until that point, the British Army, with a volunteer army of farmers, shopkeepers, and politicians? Why don't you take a little time to reread Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence? In one of the most important documents in history, Jefferson emotionally presented a vision of an independent and free nation and answered the where, what, why, and how questions as he eloquently painted a picture of the future state or states, the future state of America. As business guru Kenneth Blanchard said, a clear purpose will unite you as you move forward. You see, values will guide your behavior and goals will focus your energy. As business guru Kenneth Blanchard said, a clear purpose will unite you as you move forward. Values will guide your behavior, and goals will focus your energy. Now, let's take a deeper look at vision casting. Why is it so important? As we talked about earlier, it helps you attract the right employees, investors, and customers, and it helps repel the wrong ones. It will help motivate your team towards a goal bigger than any of you, and it can guide your decision making. You can ask, does this decision move us toward or away from our goal? So, what is a vision statement? Well, it's a corporate declaration coming from the owner or CEO of the company that is looking to the future, and it paints a picture of how the world will be different after you do what you want to do. For example, over the next 5 years, I will have built an industry leading marketing platform that allows tradesmen to run their businesses and attract new customers without having to have any special technical or marketing knowledge to benefit from it. So that statement, it looked forward 5 years. It was very clear on what the end goal was. It targeted who uh, would be affected, and it presented some benefits. So now you may ask the question, who is it within the organization that actually creates the vision statement? Well, let me quickly introduce the concept of visionaries versus operators, or managers or integrators. Now, this is a business reality. We will discuss in more depth in a future episode of the Big Kahuna podcast. But quickly, here's the situation. In one article I read, it stated that only about 0.1% of the people in an organization, now I would think they're referring to large organizations there, but only about 0.1% of people in the organization are considered visionaries. The ability to dream up a future state and work towards it as if it were already a reality. And who is this small group of people? Well, this is typically almost always the CEO. And I have to suggest that if the CEO can't do this, well, they probably shouldn't be running the company. Now, of this small number of visionaries, the same article went on to say that only about 8% of visionaries were also good operators, having the management skills to achieve the goal that they were dreaming. Now, I don't know how accurate the numbers actually are, but I do know from experience the sentiment expressed in the article is indeed true. I, I'm reminded of when I was part of a church board, the folks organizing the activities of the church. And we had brought in a church leadership consultant to help us organize our people, our volunteers, assess who was fit for what roles and that type of thing. And I remember one exercise in particular that really stuck with me. The consultant uh, gave a small survey out to each person. It was a kind of a personality type of survey. And when the survey was completed, you were able to figure out what kind of personality or what your aptitude was. And it was interesting. Then what he did was he took each person and he put visionaries in one row. He put manager type people in another row. He put other people that were good helpers or followers, that type of thing. And he divided the group up by the personality type. What was striking to me is when we looked around in that row that actually had the visionaries in, there were only two people, the pastor and myself. I was the head of the church board at the time. In the second row, the managers, there were quite a few people. And I knew these people and I thought about what they did in their actual life. And that survey nailed it. They were teachers, they were managers, they ran departments within their organization, that type of thing. That was a much bigger group than the visionaries, but not near as big a group as the folks that were really more along the line of the helpers and the volunteer type folks there that pitched in when needed. it really goes to show that when it comes to visionaries, there's in any given organization, it's pretty limited who is of that personality type. Now, are visionaries better or worse than others? Well, I'd say from my own experience, um, visionaries can be really well. They are by nature really good at setting an ambitious direction, and they really aren't good at getting everyone to make it happen. This is certainly true for me, but if you can do both, yeah, my hat's off to you. How do you know if you're a visionary? Well, one way is taking a survey, I suppose, like we did at the church board. But here's what I know about visionaries. Usually, they're really good at setting an ambitious direction. That's what a visionary does. At the same time, they really aren't good at getting everyone to make it happen. This is certainly true for me. But if you can do it both, if you can do both of those things, be a great visionary and a great manager, well, my hat is off to you. So, how do you know if you're a visionary? One way is considering what gets you the most excited about your work. Is it coming up with world-changing ideas? You know, that idea you just had 5 minutes ago and is already reality? Do you get excited discussing audacious goals with others? I remember I was involved with a group of three other fellows: Ed, Dennis, Mark, and myself. And each of us had owned and led companies, or we did at the time as well. And each one of us was a visionary in our own way. And what was really cool for me, and it was probably, as far as my work goes, maybe the most exciting time for me, was getting together with the other three guys and just solving all the world's problems. You know how you sit around and you just have an idea and how we can make it happen and what the next steps are. And we would just, anytime we were together, we could just knock these ideas out of the park. And they were all brilliant and they were all doable. And in fact, why weren't we doing them right away? Now, of course, in reality, not a high percentage of great ideas are actually great ideas. But we did come up with quite a number, and we were able to launch new businesses, help other business owners take their businesses to the next level, and had a lot of fun doing it together. That's a great sign that you're a visionary when you just love doing it and love doing it with others who share that perspective. So, if any of this is true of you, then there's a good chance that you are a visionary. Now, on the other hand, if you hear that brilliant new idea and the first thing you start thinking is, "Oh great, another big idea. What about the last one? Didn't we just train the staff to do that a different way? Who's going to who's going to implement this idea?" Well, I guess that's me. And I guess you're probably, you guessed it, an operator. The operator's thinking about the implications of instituting that new idea, bringing that vision into reality. How is it going to affect the team? How does it mess up the way you're doing things already? That's an operator. And every visionary needs a great operator. So that brings us to the point where we want to create a vision statement. How do we do that? Well, first, it doesn't just happen overnight. It evolves. It has probably been kicking around in your brain for quite some time. Some jobs are best done in a team or committee setting, but this isn't one of them. I believe there really is only one person, the visionary leader, who can cast the vision for your organization. But it's your management team, once they've bought into it, that will make it happen. What else? It needs to be verbalized, but it also must be put on paper so it isn't always changing. Change is often the enemy of adoption. Like most things, less words are more. It must present an aspirational goal, a future state, looking ahead 5 or more years. And it should be written in the future tense. It declares a direction. And sometimes that direction could even be an about face. A vision statement is audacious. And I'm reminded of that line from Robert Browning's poem, "A man's reach should exceed his grasp," which suggests that to achieve anything worthwhile, a person should attempt even things that may turn out to be impossible. Just think how impossible President Kennedy's moon speech must have sounded to many people. Couple more things. Make your vision statement descriptive, but not complex. Make sure you review it and reaffirm or adjust it annually. Things change, circumstances change, opportunities change. Incorporate elements of a SMART goal, which we'll talk about in a future podcast as well. Make sure it's emotional. It must move people. You can rationalize it later through other types of messaging. And how is a vision statement used? Well, for many business leaders, the vision statement, unfortunately, is simply an exercise to be checked off the leadership checklist. You see this especially when a new CEO comes in. One of the first things they'll do is do a vision casting time and produce a new vision. Well, that is something that the board usually is looking for, and that's why they hired them. But if it's simply the exercise, and well, I got to think that's coming up short. Don't let this happen in your organization. Instead, take the vision statement and put it on your website. Put it on the cafeteria wall. Put it in the annual statement. Put it on your company intranet. Remind your staff during their performance evaluations. Refer to it when doing quarterly and monthly planning. Think about it, talk about it, share it, and believe it, and do it all the time. It's not an exercise to be done. It is the goal to pursue and achieve your goals. It's not an exercise simply to be done. It is the goal to pursue and achieve. I think I would like to close with this. During my preparation for this podcast, something unexpected happened. As I was going over these three essential statements or declarations, the vision statement, the purpose statement, and the corporate values, I found myself thinking about my own. And I ended up going back to the drawing board to update WebGeeks' 3 foundational statements. I like to share what I penned and then transfer to our website. Here we go. Our purpose. While most people in the building and construction sectors feel confident in their operational skills, They are often overwhelmed, unprepared, or incapable of effectively managing their online marketing. With WebGeeks, they can rest easy knowing we provide a complete digital marketing solution that gets the desired results with little effort on their part. And here's our set of values. I've reduced what we had down to three values that I felt really encompassed who we are and who we aspire to be as an organization. The first is to do good. We want to provide guidance and support, act with faith, honesty, love, and charity. We want to win. We want to reach our goals as we help our clients succeed with theirs. And we want to use our brains, both sides, creative and analytical. And finally, our vision. By 2030, we'll be the trusted marketing partner for more than 5,000 of the best SMEs, small and mid-sized enterprises in North America's building and construction sectors. Why don't you take a few minutes to think about your own statements, your vision statement? What is it that you are pursuing? What is it that you understand to be the future state as a result of you doing what you do? Share it in the comments. I love to hear, love to interact with you. If you have questions or other comments, please leave those as well. I am really delighted to hear from you. And perhaps some of what you share with me will become what we talk about in future episodes. So we packed a lot into this episode, and I'm hoping that you have found a few nuggets that you can take away with you. I'm Lauren Shantz with the Big Kahuna podcast, and if you appreciated the content you heard today, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, have a great day.